is so good to have you here today. I'm enjoying this first session live today, actually. It's so good. We actually spoke like a while ago and we said we're so excited to do it live, and here we are live. We made it. So welcome, Deb. I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm very, very excited to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation to connect with your audience and to bring forth this information that's so needed in the planet right now.
Yeah. Can you share a little bit more for everyone listening? Like, who are you and what it is you do here on this planet?
Sure. My journey has been a very long one. My entire life, I've been what you might consider a seeker of the divine and who I was in relation to it and with it, and why was I here? And so even when I was young, being brought up in the church, it was difficult for me to grasp other people's ideas about how to behave and what to, I mean, and I wasn't rebellious in any way, shape, or form, but who their idea of who God was didn't match mine. So I continued to seek, and then in my early 20s, it was actually back during the harmonic convergence where I woke up in the late 80s. Woke up, and what I mean by that was I started thinking differently and feeling differently, and I became what you might consider more expansive in my ideas. And I felt more drawn to study things like metaphysics, right? And I found out what Reiki was. So I started getting attuned to Reiki and started doing that. And then moving very forward, I read in an ancient text where Jesus said that the things that he did, we shall also do. And that rang through me like a gong. And I said, I want that. I want to love people like Jesus did, and I want to heal people like Jesus does. So I kept asking him, what would that look like for me? Bring it. That's what I want. I know it's possible. I believe it's possible. And you said it. So I've been years later, from the 80s, 90s, 2000s. It wasn't until 2014 through all this asking that medical intuition came through for me. I had been working with the shaman. I was becoming more opened up, healing more of my emotional things from the past and past lives. And I'll tell you a story about how my very first medical intuition session came about. It was very unexpected, but I was home alone one night reading a book in 2014. And all this time I had been doing a little bit of Reiki, but I was also an interior designer. So I wasn't doing Reiki full time. But it started morphing also into other things. Mediumship would come through during Reiki sessions and many, many other things. It really wasn't Reiki anymore. So in 2014, when I was reading the book that night, I felt this real strong impulse to pray for my friend who had been out of town. So I did. And I thought, well, I'll pray for their safe flight back. And all of a sudden in my mind's eye, I was shown 3 vertebrae in their lower back with appeared to be a bulging disc. And so I just kind of thought, well, I may as well put it back into place. Why would I be shown this, right? So I started manipulating it. And over in the corner, I saw in my mind's eye and felt the presence of a 10-foot tall golden angel. And she slowly came over to me and embodied me. And together we repaired my friend's spine. And today their spine is 100% healed, back to normal.
Is that how you always do it? Is it like the angel comes and then, or is it now just you doing it? Is it still that way?
She embodied me, and now she's like my helper. Someone told me that she is actually aspects of me that came and embodied me. And yes, we have been working together ever since, along with Jesus and all the masters.
Very exciting stuff. Like I think it's so beautiful to embody all of those next level gifts into this life. And you weren't born that way, right? For a lot of people, sometimes I think, like, for me, it wasn't like that either. You can actually become who you are. like the new human, really, right? Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, and so it took me a long time to, well, it didn't take me a long time to own it, but it was a long healing process of, like I said before, I wanted to bring in more light. And I always told my guides and my higher self, take me to the next level, whatever that looks like for me. I want as much as I can have and hold and do to help humanity. And so I worked with, through this expansion of even my gifts, then I started calling my friends. Then it's like, and first of all, I called I had a healer friend in New York, and I called her and I said, this is what happened last night. Do you think I'm a medical intuitive? And she laughed at me, because that's what I really wanted, because I had been, researching it. And she laughed and she said, of course you are. And it's like, okay, that's great. So I called all my friends and invited them over, and I would work on their skeletal systems. And people were getting better. Lower back pain gone. Chronic pain for 20 years was dissipating. And it's like, okay, this is really working. And so I worked with just the spine itself, which one of my friends said, well, you got to call that galactic chiropractic. So we did, and the name stuck. And so that lasted probably a couple years, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. And then more things kept coming through. I was shown what the cerebral spinal fluid did, and it's what its purpose is in this central nervous system. Then I was shown where all the organs were, and then what the brain was all about, the different parts of the brain and the glands within it, and the endocrine system, and how it communicates with all of the glands within the body. Then I see, I'm given names for things that I didn't even know what they were. Like one time I was working with the client remotely, and they said she has dysplasia of the bladder. And I said, well, what's dysplasia? So I had to go look it up, and it's a precancerous condition. So as long as I remain open and trust what I'm hearing and put one foot in front of the other, this is expanded into full-blown medical intuition, which, by the way, also involves, because the guides told me years ago that for any illness, disease, or pain, there's an emotional component. So a session involves not just looking at the body and finding things to correct. We correct them, also find the emotional component to it so it can be fully healed, brought back to balance and vibrant health. And then people get better.
Yeah. I love how you share how it comes to you that you don't even know the words. I so recognize it. So I'm sometimes looking it up on internet and I'm like, it's not even there. I hear this word and it's not there. It's like, and the trust in that, because obviously stepping into this whole process of becoming this evolved being, this new human, involves this whole process, what you just described, like the cleaning up of a lot of energy, a lot of emotional things. Can you share also a little bit more about that? Because it is like, this is the transformation into that, and it's available for all of us.
Sure. I can give you an example of a client that I worked with about a year and a half ago. She was a mother of a friend of mine, and she had been diagnosed with a tumor in her upper abdomen. And they called me. They were together in another state, and they called me and said, can we do a session together? And I said, well, sure. And we went into the energy of that tumor, and we found so much grief and sorrow. She had a son. She has 3 children, but one of her sons had died, crossed over from cancer years before. Her husband also had not dementia, but Alzheimer's, and he was also ready to cross over. We went into that emotion and pulled up all of her grief, and they were crying, and I was crying. It was very cathartic. But when we got to that, it's like, bingo, that's what we needed to find. That's the message of that growth there. A cell does not go out of being normal and balanced on its own. Okay. A cell, DNA, is affected by its environment. And if its environment is holding grief, sorrow, fear, it's going to get out of balance and therefore cause pain, illness, and disease. So at the end of the session with her, the guides had said, be slow to have any major procedures done. So she did eventually, about a month and a half later, 6 weeks later, she opted for surgery. And when the doctors went in and removed it, it had shrunk to half the size of what it was 2 months earlier. So there are miraculous things that are happening now as a result of not just my work, but many, many people's work, because many healers' work, because this is the year, this is the time of redemption from the old and moving and resurrecting into the new, therefore ascension, right? And that's what we're all experiencing if we're aware of it and are willing enough to look inside and find those messages and then heal them and love them into forgiveness and feeling safe.
Yeah.
So it's really no miracle. It's just love coming through, and then, allowing ourselves that, oh, okay, let's do a little work here. We want to emerge into anything that's possible for us, whether we want to call it the new human or our divinity. It's all the same, and it's beautiful, and it's here for us.
And so I'm just fascinating also by medical things, because I don't really do that. I'm always like, no, I don't want that. I'm quite the opposite. So that's why I so love having you on. How do you, okay, so you have now this physical, like a tumor or something else. How do you connect with the emotion of that? Because honestly, if you can do that, that is liberating a lot of illness, right? Into more ease. It's like, so how do you get that? How do you find literally the emotion into that physical thing to ease that out? Literally, right? To ease out the energy so that disease goes away.
Sure, very good question. So sometimes I know what it is, and in this case, there was a growth, and other times I don't know what it is that I'm looking for, but I'm shown. So I use my imagination. So I just take my consciousness and just go to that place. For instance, this mother of my friend, just with my consciousness, went to that spot, and I felt what might have been a growth, a mass, let's say. And I just went to it as I would a child, just very gently, and said, okay, what do we need here? How do you feel? What's going on? And I picture myself going to like the core of it. And in that core, I'll immediately feel an emotion. I just got chills remembering what we
I
did.
could feel the tension already, like you talking about it. I'm like, okay, that's how it works. Okay, you can feel it. Yeah.
Yes.
But there's something about your gentleness in it, isn't it? There's something about your being, how you hold your being in such grace and openness, which creates this space. I'm assuming anyway. Am I right?
Well, the guides told me that everything works through love, through compassion.
Yeah.
And so that Jesus was the master of love. That's why he's my guy here. The word, it's not me, I'm the conduit for his love, for his compassion. In fact, he's called it the miracle working molecule. Compassion. Because when we go to those angry, fearful, sorrowful pieces of ourselves and give them what they want, acceptance, acknowledgement, love, then it's almost like there was this little child in there hiding and fearful and crying and feeling alone and not safe. And when you go to that emotion of that childlike energy, it's heard, it's understood, it's loved, it feels safe. Yeah. That's the secret to it all. And by the way, My compassion was not, I wasn't born this way. I know it's in my heart, we're all born with the spirit of life within us. But it took me many years to get to that point of having this type of compassion. And I have to tell you that it was only through my own years of loss, betrayal, unsuccessful relationships, where it was my pain that acted as a stone, if you will, that sharpened the sword of compassion within my heart.
That is beautifully spoken.
That's them. That's what Jesus says.
Yes, I can hear it. So beautifully spoken.
And for me, it couldn't have happened any other way. It had to be this way for me to get to this point.
Yeah. Do you feel anyone can do what you do, or do you also feel this is one of your gifts you have been collecting and practicing over lifetimes?
That's a very big question. And I think there's yes and yes. I believe that if other people ask like I did, I think anything's possible. And did I do this in previous lifetimes? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you recognize. I know, but I mean, even the people here, I know they all have these similar abilities, whether it's channeling or because they're here. I mean, the people here listening in have got the abilities. And sometimes it's like, what is your most profound gateway? Because I love how you said, I really wanted this. You felt so cold to the medical, and when someone asks me that, I'm like, I don't really want, I can answer it, but I don't really like it. So it's so fascinating how you're guided right towards what just feels expansive and exciting and like that, right?
Exactly.
Can you also share, because honestly, I thought that was fascinating about the blood and about what we're going to do as well, a little of, is the galactic chiropractic. So what about the blood? I just thought I could just see it, and it was interesting. I think I shared with you the day before we spoke about it, I dreamt about it, right? Do you remember that?
No.
That was really weird because I've never heard about it, and I dreamt about it, and then you started sharing about it. They showed me with green, actually, how you can clean up your whole system. Can you, because then you started sharing, I'm like, wow, this is really, and you know what else is really fascinating? Ever since I started talking to you and a couple of others, the galactic energies came so much, all of this kind of stuff, not necessarily medical, but also releasing and healing. It's almost like it wants to come through right now. Even aliens speaking to me, which I used to be like, this is really weird. Now I get these are just beautiful intergalactic beings who really want to assist us with tools like you already have, right? They're really so willing to give it all to us that we can use it.
They're here in great numbers to assist. I have a team of galactics. I have a team of galactics, and I think mostly they feel mostly Pleiadian to me, but I know that there's others as well. And by the way, if anyone has kind of a bias for thinking about galactic intervention or assistance, the divine tells us that if we indeed are pieces and parts of God, which we are, then have we not been, and are we not all things? Right? If we're really truly pieces of God who, in essence, brought forth everything into existence, we were there at creation. Planetary friends and family should not feel foreign to us. So if anyone is thinking of connecting more with the galactics, they're ready, they're there, waiting to assist. I've got my team of Pleiadians, they call themselves JoJo. They're Joseph and Josepha. I met them years ago. In my mind's eye, of course, in a meditation. But yeah, they bring forth much of the work that I do. And for instance, the blood purification system that Sigrid was talking about, that came through a couple of years ago because when I first started doing work with the blood, they would actually do transfusions. I would see the client lying in like a recliner and receiving blood. Well, now it switched to blood purification. And this galactic technique is actually a perfect 8-inch cube, sacred geometry, with 3 discs inside of it. And 2 of them are purification discs. And the other one is like a revitalization for the blood of whatever it needs, platelet balancing or, red, whatever the blood needs. So the tube goes into the left hand, the left wrist here in the forearm, runs through this cube with the purification and the revitalization of the blood and comes out the other side and goes back into the right. And so that usually stays in, depends on the severity of what's going on with the client. It can stay in 3 to 5 hours, 5 to 8 hours. One client had stayed in 10 days because, keep in mind that our blood also filters through our organs and all parts of our body. So their organs really needed some cleaning up. Yeah, but when that came through, it was like, okay, this is cool. Let's keep doing this.
So share a little bit more. How do you plug people in and out?
I'm sorry?
How do you plug people in and out? How do you know? Like, you will start that. Obviously, they're not they just go about their days, and you intentionally put that. Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So the guides put it in, and then when it's done, they just go energetically remove it. Of course, all of this is energetic, right?
Yeah.
So even with the quantum acupuncture that I do, those So Wang Tzu, my Chinese master, I was actually him in the Ming Dynasty. I carried his energy, is what he told me. So he does the acupuncture and provides herbs and elixirs to the client while they're lying on my table. And he says, those stay in generally 5 to 8 hours, and then he just takes them out, or maybe they dissipate.
Fascinating, right? And I
don't have to do anything after they take care of it.
You just have the people, you just invite them in, and then, so you are literally, the client is lying on the table, you're sitting in a chair, or you're standing, or how does that work? And you just allow them to work with it.
Yeah, 100% of my work right now is remote. So I energetically have a client lying on their back on a table in front of me, and then I just receive information. We call in the guides together and run a ball of liquid golden light through their whole system to lighten it, illuminate it, and also allow the body and the psyche to feel safe. And then I start getting information. Sometimes a crossover relative or friend will come through with information that's very healing for them. But mostly I'm taken to a spot within their body, or maybe they previously told me what's going on. So blood purification doesn't happen in every single session, neither does quantum acupuncture. I just do what I'm hearing. I receive a lot of light, crystalline light, that they administer to the body. Ancestral healing may come through, the galactic chiropractic. Oh, your spine is out of whack, so we'll straighten that out.
Can you share a little bit more about with the people what that means? Like, I think this is such good stuff. Like, it's so accessible and it's so available. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm honored to do it.
Yeah. Can you share more about how that works? Because I think that's pretty next level. I mean, imagining that light does its work, we can, even like blood. But what you now know is pretty next level in my vision anyway, of anyone who've ever talked about this. I don't know, and I've interviewed quite a few, I can tell you that. So that's why I love it. What does that mean, the galactic chiropractic? How does it work? Because it almost makes sense to work with light and do all of that, but how do you actually change the spine? It's like a whole new level.
Sure. Yeah. So I never studied chiropractic for sure, but I've always been interested in health. And, I didn't know what medical intuition was going to look like for me when I kept asking and asking for it. So the galactic chiropractic is basically working with the musculoskeletal system, because the bones, muscles are connected. They hold them in place. They work together with connective tissue. And So we generally start with heating pads around the bodies, parts of the body, mostly lower back, neck, upper shoulders. So they put energetic heating pads on their body, or they'll use a icy hot salve or something to go deep into those muscles. Sometimes they'll put in infrared lights. And I just see in my mind's eye what to do and know where to put it based on maybe a little nudge I get, or I'll feel a little bit of pressure. I won't feel somebody touching me, but I'll feel a little pressure inside my body where to go. So we start with those heating pads to loosen up the muscles, and then we'll adjust and we might do this later, we'll adjust the hips by rotating them back and forth and up and down to loosen up that whole system. We'll go deep inside the hips where the femur bone comes up into the hip socket and check that out. We'll check out knees, ankles. I'll sometimes be shown a previous fracture and we'll seal that up. Someone might have what you might call where their foot goes the wrong direction. We'll straighten those out. And if the hip, we're coming back up to the hips, if the hips are off, that means the shoulders are off too, because it's all connected.
Yeah.
So many, many times, more times than not, I'll see that the hips are off a little bit. Therefore, someone is diagnosed with, well, one of your legs is longer than the other. Mostly not. Mostly it's the hips need to be brought back into a horizontal position, and then the shoulders as well. And then we just energetically, I'll just go up the spine and adjust vertebrae. I'll see discs that might be bulging or degenerated. So the guides will, Saint Germain comes in and does that. He inserts stem cells where the vertebrae meet the spine. If someone has degeneration, like, or scoliosis is one where there's a curvature, we'll straighten that out. Then there's the other one where the spine is degenerating. We'll put a stem cell cream down the entire spine to rebuild that from the inside out. We'll put, Saint Germain comes in with crystals that he'll embed into knees to work as, it turns into like a gel-like substance, and that works as a chameleon to fix anything that's wrong with nerves, blood vessels, tissue, bone, cartilage. That's all restored. So like I said, I see them doing it, so I just say this is what we're doing, and oftentimes my hands will move in this with what I'm seeing them doing, almost like they're working through me. Yes. Right? And then people get better. And sometimes, most of the time, we can take care of things in one session, but oftentimes we can do maybe a package of 3 or 5 because the body has memory. Yeah. And so we have to remind the body to go back to the memory that, we build in memory to, we instruct it to stay in the position that we just placed it in. So it's fascinating. And the skull too.
Yeah. What have you been healing? Like, what do you know? Like, I know a lot, but I'm just curious, like, can you share a little bit more about the results people actually get through your work?
Sure. Chronic back pain, gone in one session.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And scoliosis has been straightened out. Oftentimes people will have that's a curvature of the spine. Sometimes they'll have it in 2 places, maybe between the shoulder blades and the lower back. And we'll just create traction in the spine, breathing space between the discs and vertebrae, loosen up all those muscles, and gently coax those vertebrae and discs back into position, and then instruct it to stay there.
It is amazing, right? And do they also share more why they came to you?
Why they come to me?
Why did they come? Like, not necessarily your clients, but like the guides, the beings, like, why did they come to you? Did you ever ask?
I never asked, but I'm assuming it's to just to help right now with the work that we're all doing so that we can get on with love.
Yeah.
We want to heal our bodies, heal our psyches, so we can anchor that vibration of love to the planet. And I believe it's because I stay so open. I'm just always open. Okay, you guys, who's coming in now? What we're gonna do? Bring on the next thing. Let's do this. And I'm driven in that way to know more, to do more, to help more.
You feel it's also remembrance?
Pardon me?
Is it also remembrance? So you're like, they teach you stuff which you kind of remember, or it goes so easy, or does it all feel very new?
No, it comes really easy.
Yeah.
Sometimes surprising, but easy. It's like, okay, you want to do that? Okay, let's do that. And now I teach other people. I train other people in what I do also.
Can you share more about that? Because I think that's also for the people who want to know and feel very much drawn to this work. It's great if you share more about like how you can teach people this.
I run a 6-month program. One just started in February and it'll run through August. And then, so up to this point, the guides have instructed to run a 6-month program. One stops, the next one starts. One stops, the next one starts. So they're going year round. And for those who are in foreign countries, because we have some gals in New Zealand and Switzerland, I think. And so I do an 11 a.m. and a 6 p.m. Mountain time, so that anybody who wants to, gather with us can do so. So it's there's an entire manual that goes with it. Anybody who is interested in that can email our support team, support@debrahgetz.com. And then we'll have, like I said, we'll have one starting in probably September. But it's there's a manual that comes with it. So every 2 weeks, you get a 25-page module of the program, and we take you through what is medical intuition, how does it work. There's channelings from the divine with encouraging messages because some people don't feel worthy of doing it. 99% of the people who come into this program, and by the way, I just started running it a year ago at their directive, but most of us don't feel like, well, I don't know if I can do this work. I mean, I'm not you. And it's like, no, you're not, but you're going to have your own way to do it.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to have your own version of it. You're going to get your own information. You're going to work with, you might work with different guides than I do. But you know how I received the Golden Angel years ago? I've been asking the Golden Angel if we can transfer her energy to other people. And I've been asking for years. I'm getting chills just talking about it. And she finally said yes last year. So that's why I created this program, and I started it right away. It's like, okay, you give me the green light, we're going to do this. And within a few weeks, I had a full class, and we ran it through December, and they're very, very excited to now, because in the end, after the 6 months, they're saying, oh my gosh, I can do what you do. Because we practice a lot. We learned about anatomy and physiology. Anything that I learned through osmosis here, I teach. I put it in the manual so they can see and know and understand as well. We talk about the toroidal field. We talk about the energy body and the compassion and everything that we're talking about today. And then, like I said, we meet every 2 weeks on Zoom and practice and learn together.
Beautiful. And so someone is asking, is this a way of healing also for healing animals?
Sure.
Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, there's a little addendum even in our program about animal physiology and anatomy, because it's not that different from ours. They have organs and glands and a skeletal system, and you can feel into their emotions like I do for a human. Sure.
It's really exciting that you are now allowed to actually teach others. I can imagine that is so fulfilling.
It's very fulfilling. It's like the favorite part of my work.
Yeah. So let's see if other people have more questions. Usually I wait, but I know you love the interaction also. So let's see, like if you have questions for Deb, just put them here and let's see if we can answer them all for you. Is there something what you would like to add for now in the conversation where you feel like, oh, that's a part we didn't touch yet, but it's important to actually talk about?
do I have any other
Yeah,
things I
maybe
want?
something I'm not asking, but you're like, oh, that would be also important for people to realize and know, and just for you to kind of go into.
Yeah, the divine right here
Yeah.
is saying to everybody that if you only knew who walked by your side, if you only knew just how cherished and loved you are, if you only knew, you would operate differently. And they also are saying to you, this is vital for everyone to hear. In our eyes, when we gaze upon you, all we see is your innocence and your purity and your beauty. You're a multidimensional being of light, simply having a human experience. And it's all okay. You've done nothing wrong. You're brilliant, you're beautiful, you're talented. So live with that. Bring it forth to the world. You're needed right now. You're needed right now. A year ago I was talking on one of the shows, and they showed me a lineup of like a spiritual army that's here, us, coming forth now to do this work. And there were too many empty spots in that lineup. And they said, come on, you guys, you're needed right now. This is the work we're here to do, to bring anchor and the number one, no matter what we do, if we're healers or we work behind the scenes in bringing love to the planet or praying for people, whatever we do, it's all important. The most important thing is that we step forward and do the work, that we anchor the vibration of love, because that's going to heal the planet and us, and hopefully bring peace to not only our world, but to the universe.
Beautiful. And people start dropping their questions in the meanwhile. So if you talk, it's just so soothing. And it's funny because you say they bring, but you can just hear the love when you talk that way. I can really receive it in the whole being. I can feel it like almost vibrating in my being. It's not just words, it's actually medicine coming through the voice, right? It's true. Yeah, I can feel that. It's like, wow, this is not just words. This is actually medicine. Yeah, of love. Very beautiful.
Thank you. And when the words come through me, it brings tears to my eyes because it's so real, so deep. Yeah. So I hope that everyone has received
for that additional, I love it. Anyway, someone is asking, I use sound frequencies. Does Deb address this? This is where I feel is my purpose.
I don't work with sound. I have a lot of respect for those who do. I understand. I mean, there's vibration in our voices. There's vibration of sound is so healing, much like the words I just spoke. So if you have an instrument or singing bowls or whatever, that's a wonderful, wonderful gift. But I don't address it in the course because that's not my specialty.
No. But you're using it though in your speaking, but it's just not what you teach, other than it's natural to you. It may be interesting to also teach. Can you say something about healing teeth that have caries all of a sudden? Can they be
Sure, we do it all the time.
Yeah?
Yeah, the guides have said that anything that Western medicine can do, we can do only better.
So how would you do that with that or other things? I have a thing on my tooth, so I want to know.
So as far as an individual reason why there's sudden cavities, I'd have to do more in-depth thinking about it and processing. But you want to do that right now real quick?
Yes, of course.
We're gonna go deep into the roots of the teeth from the bone on up. So first and I snap a lot and blow a lot because that just opens things up and allows me to see deeper. So we're going to kind of flush them out. And this is for anybody, not just that one person. So even old fillings, we're just going to energetically flush them up and out and deactivate them. Pushing from the bottom, whether they're top teeth or bottom teeth. I'm just going to I'm just going to energetically work on this one side, but it's for all teeth. Coming up from the root, pushing up through. And then I see like a little hose. Ooh, it's beautiful, greens and purple, crystalline light. Flushing, flushing, flushing deep into the cavity. Okay, good. And then let me see what they're going to do. Their metaphors sometimes are very funny. You know what a caulk gun looks like? They've got a tiny little caulk gun, and they're going to fill this tooth with the new minerals, bone, teeth, tissue, whatever it's called, right? They're going to just go down and fill it up all the way to the top. And someone also has weak, their bone in their jaw is weakened and not holding the teeth in place as it should. So there's a couple of things they're going to do. They're showing me trays, almost like the teeth whitening trays that are shaped like your palate. So they're putting a medicinal in there that's gummy, and they're going to put those trays there to strengthen everyone's teeth. And it's not fluoride. It's far from fluoride. This is going to rebuild enamel and strengthen the teeth. And then that's also going to seep down and up into that bone to strengthen it. And I'd kind of like to know if there's anybody listening live that was the one that had that weakened bone. It might be somebody who's listening later, but that's what I saw.
I do, someone says. Vasya said, I do. Yeah.
Well, expect that to turn around.
I love seeing you do this. It's like so good to also see the interaction, and like it feels like you're doing a whole surgery, really.
Yes.
You could do that for anyone with anything, but also in group.
But also what?
In group. You're now doing it in a group.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
That's great. Like it's like a lot of people, like 71 people here, and like another couple of thousands probably listening to the replay. I'm so excited. Anyway, so this was actually the question. Could you talk about the crystals you put into the body again and how that works? For example, in the knees and or hips.
Mm-hmm.
Or could you do it with an example maybe? I don't know if they do it that way. If they can work on us simultaneously.
You want to do a little one right now?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I'm like, I didn't know like you could do it this way. I'm like, this is great. That's why we like the interaction. Yes.
Sure. So anyone with knee problems, I'm listening to them. Anybody with knee problems, hip problems, sacrum, those sacroiliac joints in the back of the lower back, shoulders and neck and ankles. They're going to, okay. So Saint Germain is the crystal guy. So he's very gently going to lift up. So start with the knees. He's going to lift up a little bit the kneecaps and then energetically clean out the joint. I'm seeing some substance there. What is that? Deterioration. Okay, we're going to clean that out. Somebody has a really bad knee, the right one. It's really deteriorating and it's very, very difficult to walk. Saying this will certainly work on that, you'll see. So he brings in these crystals that are faceted like a diamond, pointy and round at the top. And they're pure emerald, not unlike anything on the earth, he's saying, pure emerald. And there's also some amethyst in that as well. So he's placing that down into the knee, putting the kneecap back on. And then as it meets the warmth of the body, it starts turning gel-like, so gelatinous. And it, like I said, is acting as a chameleon, running through the whole knee, behind the knee, tendons, ligaments, nerves, blood vessels, tissue, bone, cartilage, Here we go. It's going to rebuild, refortify, straighten things out because the femur at the top and the two bones coming up from the bottom aren't connecting correctly. So we're going to straighten those out. And then this gel runs down the lower leg into those ankles, soothing, and then down into the heels, feet, metatarsals, toes. And then we're going to run that crystalline energy up the femur and up into those hips, circulating in the socket where the femur bone comes up into it. Cleaning that up. Somebody has like a bursitis or something in there. We're going to clean that up. So he shows me bursitis as almost like a little bone spur, and he's just going to file that down. And then we're also going to put some lubrication into that joint as well. And then running that crystalline gel up into the sacrum, seeping deep into those sacroiliac joints. Beautiful, let that seep in. Come on. Ooh. Somebody's really got a stuck lower back. So we're going to very gently rotate hips back and forth, up and down. Getting that loosened up, and then come up that spine. We'll come back here. And then up into the shoulders, and we'll let that run up into the neck, up into the atlas bone, and rotate those shoulders back and forth, up and down. And then we hold so much stress beneath those shoulder blades. We're going to go up underneath those shoulder blades and pull down all the stresses. We're going all the way up to the shoulder muscles, pulling down all that stress, pulling it down and out the back. And then we're going to cradle the skull in the palm of my hands and curve my fingertips, put them underneath the back of the skull, the base of the skull there, and just pull gently, creating a little bit of traction. So there's breathing space between the disc and vertebrae. Yeah, loosening all of those tiny muscles and large muscles, rotating the skull. They're going way up and way up inside that occipital region. Somebody has chronic headaches, lots and lots of tension in the back of the head. That's all being lifted and released now. Oh, I can just feel it like melting off. You guys are going to be really tired after this. You're going to feel lighter. You're going to feel so relaxed. So we're going to very gently adjust that skull now on that top atlas bone. And your chronic headaches will be gone. And then we're going to make sure that the curve, that beautiful, graceful curve, is in the back of the neck. Pull the chin in. Here we go. And then what else? There's something more. Oh, stem cells. Anybody who has that degeneration, this crystalline light is going to help a lot of that, but they want to give you more. Down in the sacrum, there's that deterioration. So they're putting this stem cell needle is very tiny. It's only barely 1/4 of an inch. So very lightly and quickly, they're putting stem cells injections into really quickly on the knees, then very strategically up the spine where the vertebrae meet the spine. There we go. And then somebody has rotator cuffs, the cartilage in the shoulders, that isn't so great. We're going to bring in more of that gel light to rebuild them. So over the next 3 to 5 days, especially, you're going to notice great improvements, and even up to a month to 6 weeks.
Wow. I love the idea someone is crying. I can see emotions coming, right? Can that happen when you work with people? People start crying or feeling emotions like now?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's probably unlocking some things that may have been lodged within the spine. It could also be because for once they feel cared for and safe and loved. Yeah.
Wow, I just love, like I could watch you, witness you work all day. Like it's so good to see, like it's beautiful to watch. Let's see if there's more. Indeed, tears here. Thank you for your beautiful message. It touches me. Certain people have healing tones of voice. You are the sound. Your voice is soothing, which must be calming to those you treat. Such a powerful love. Does this type of healing work with the mental body release trauma or PTSD?
The question is, can it release PTSD?
Yes, trauma or
Mhm.
PTSD. Yeah.
I work with it all the time. There's so much of trauma stuck in our bodies, in our psyches. And so we use that beautiful compassion along with your guides, your divinity, and my guides, and the golden angel. And we just come to that trauma, we'll find it. And many times it simply just wants to be acknowledged and heard. And sometimes something will just leave immediately because it just wanted to be found, right? But we do work, I'm saying we, with the PTSD and unlock that fear that stays stuck, even from previous lifetimes. Yeah. Or the ancestral pool that it came through.
Let's see. There's like about 41 comments. Okay, so I'm gonna try to grasp something. Okay, someone is asking, but you, I think, already did some work on that. I feel like structural misjudgment in my spine, back, hips, I'm not clear which, keep me from being able to do the work I'm here to do because I'm always physically uncomfortable. How do I address this healing? Misalignment. Misjudgment means misalignment in my spine, back, and hips. And I know more, like also clients who have these physical things going on, which does not allow them to really step into what they feel they're called to do.
I see that sometimes. I see that sometimes. So continue to ask, believe, pray, and then work with an energy healer or someone that you feel drawn to get your body back to where it needs to be. Find the origin, the cause, and the effect of it. And you have to do a little digging to get to that sometimes. But yeah. And then, believe and know that what you're feeling, that you're being called to, is for a very great purpose. And then you know what? You're going to be able to use what happened to you to help other people.
Another question, we can do one more, I think. Can you please work on the spine? You already did. Someone asked, now I can find it. Can you ask about, hold on, I need to find you again. Can you please heal my daughter's back? Can you please do a healing for osteoporosis? So there's all these things. And obviously you can't do all of the healings. Is there something else than finding someone you also feel asking is something which will help healing, right? Specifics, right? If someone asks, can you please heal my daughter's back? What would you say?
I would say in this case, because of the time that we have today, re-listen to this.
Yeah. And then have that in mind. Yes.
Intend it for her, play it when she's sleeping or when she's awake, whatever. But the energy, some people might want to know, oh, shoot, I missed that. Well, the energy of the recording is going to be the same as it is here today live.
Yeah. So that's beautiful. Keep in mind, there will be replays. You can listen again and you can just do it with a different intention, right? That's what you say. I love that. So all the questions are answered then.
Wonderful.
And so we have a couple of minutes left, but you also have an offer. We already dropped your link to the website for people who want to go for the 6-month course. So we already have the link in there, but you also have a different offer for this audience, right? Can you share about that?
Yes, and so the 6-month medical intuitive training is not on my website because the guides want to keep the groups very small. Excuse me. So if anybody has great interest in that or questions about it, email us please at support@Debrah Getz, and it's DEBRAH, no O, GOETZ.com. And so that, like I said, I do individually, but there's an 8-module course that is pre-recorded, and it's called the Spiritual Mastery for the New Earth. And so I recorded it, and then had done webinars, like a welcome webinar and a middle webinar, like halfway through it, and then a closing webinar too. That was done before a live audience. Excuse me, but the course answers all of your questions. Who is God? Who am I in relationship to it, with it, as it? What is prayer, and how can I manifest? What's holding me back from finances that I want to be grander than they are? Then there's one on self-healing. It's my longest video in the course. Why? Because I went through so much of it. I tell my story of my pain, my betrayal, my abandonment, and my abuse that brought me to where I am today. There's also the 7 steps to the Temple of Illumination. So these are 7 secret doorways that I take you through to illumination, awakening, and expansion. Then you get to meet the Ascended Masters, some of the masters that I work with, and that's in a video. And then there's another one about the archangels, how to address, recognize, and work with archangels. And then I also channeled these, what you might call a sigil or a talisman. They're symbols relating to each of the archangels that like I said, I channeled them, downloaded them, and created these beautiful symbols that are yours in module 6, I believe. So you can print them out. There's the energy of each of the archangels within it. So Archangel Raphael would be vibrant health. Put it under your pillow at night. Put it under your bed, on your headboard. There's some that are for forgiveness and courage, but you can, by printing these out, you're able to imbue your own self with these attributes of these 8 archangels, including Metatron. Okay. Then the last one is the science and physiology of intuition. So some of us feel like we don't really have intuition. Well, this is proof, this module will be proof that our bodies are built for intuition. Our pineal gland, there's piezoelectric properties in our 3rd eye. And so that's a whole module too, and how to increase your intuition. And then there's a free bonus that is my ebook that I wrote on synchronicity. And it's the secret language of the soul and how that works. So there's a lot in that. Oh, and there's tons of activations. There's an activation and meditation that goes along with each of those 8 modules.
I love it. Johanna, can you share the link, or did you already do? Oh, she already did. Of course she did. I wasn't paying attention.
So there's the link, and it's only $97.
Yeah, so it's everything.
Very special price for this group today.
Yeah, so good. And also for the people listening to the recording, it will be in the email. So if you're like, oh, catching the replay, I can't go in the chat, it's in the replay, or it's in the membership side, or it's on the offer page. Okay, so it's everywhere available. And otherwise you send us an email if you can't find it. Okay, so it will work. It was so good having you here. I so connected instantly with you when we met anyway, but seeing you work, I loved it. I'm a super fan. I love it. And I know where to send people now when they want to learn these things. So that's I love that as well. I know someone who I feel is such a great gift to this planet. Seeing you work, and for the people who resonate with it, knowing they actually can have a mentor, it's so great not to have to figure it out all on your own, because that's a big thing. We don't need to do it on our own. We have people like you. So thank you so much for being here today, for sharing all your light, your love, your grace, and your healing capacities with your team. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was truly an honor. It was truly an honor to be able to do this work live with people all around the globe. And so thank you so much for the invite and for your assistance and for your beauty and grace as well, Sigrid. This was fun. It was beautiful. Thanks.
Thank you. And I'm going to invite you again. I know that for
Okay.
sure. Now I know, yeah, for the live. Now I know why we wanted both live, right? Not a recording. It's so good. So thank you so much. And we will speak soon. And for all of you, we will continue in 30 minutes. So we will have a break of 30 minutes and then I will see you back. So thank you all. And I will talk to you soon. Bye, Deb. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Love.
Bye-bye.